Yeah, go ahead. All right. Welcome. As you mentioned, my name is Manish Jain. Wow, I've only been here for 90 minutes, and you guys have been here for the last 2.5 days talking, and I've already figured out the issue. Contributions. That's all I've been hearing now. And so, funny thing is, when I talked to Rusha about this, he mentioned something. I told him some of the stuff that we're doing at Refresh Car Care, and it's just funny. I didn't realize it, but now I understand why. One of his second or third emails was, wow, the committee's really going to want this. You should contribute this. And I just kind of like, okay, whatever. Now I know why, because I think we want to contribute as much as we can to this community. So one of the things that I want to talk about is startups and using open source software. I've been in the startup space for about 20 plus years. I've started a lot of startups previously, and now I do a lot of advising of startups in Bombay. And one of the things I always get from people is, you know, gosh, you're using something called ERP, open source. If everyone uses it, then how will you compete? You know, and I tell people nowadays that it's almost like saying I'm using Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud Platform. That's just a tool. That doesn't mean that's your business. So the more and more that I work with these startups, I think the more and more they're realizing that it's really not the tools that you're using, but how you actually use them. I'll get to it. So this is what Refresh Car Care is. It's on-demand car service here in Bombay. The reason why I'm involved is because I love cars. And we're trying to use the lean technology. We're not super hyper-funded. We don't have millions and millions of dollars. And we wanted something, the reason why we used ERPNext was because we wanted something very quick, and that was open source. As I mentioned, this is kind of what I do. I advise companies. Like I said, the mandate for me for Refresh was to get something up and running in 3 months. And really the only thing that I could really think of was ERPNext. I had seen them for the last 2-3 years, and I thought this would be a good opportunity for one of the startups that I'm working with was to actually use ERPNext. So these are the questions that I get, like I said. If you look at it, you know, there are two types of startups that I typically see. One are using real technology, solving real issues using technology. We've got a new way of doing artificial intelligence. I would say those startups in that bucket, obviously, you know, you have your secret sauce, and that's something you probably don't want to give out. But I would say a lot of the startups that I see are, you know, trying to do products or service delivery like a Scootsie, a Quicker, or, you know, Refresh Car Care. And really, it's not really the tools that you're using, but how you manage it, how you scale up your enterprise. And that's really where I think ERPNext fits for a lot of the startups that I work with. Technology is not the secret sauce, and you can use open source tools such as, you know, Python and use Django, or you can use something that's off the shelf like ERPNext, or you could use something else, you know, like SAP if you want. And it all really depends also on your investors and how they view it. So I think if you rewind maybe 3 years back, it was, hey, I'm a guy from IIT, I've got 3 programmers, give me a bunch of money. And in that instance, you know, if you go to a school like that, you kind of want to build everything from scratch because that's what you've kind of been told. And I think that's where the investors like, yeah, that's the secret sauce. We can't let anybody know. But if you look at it today, the funding environment has completely changed, and people are saying, show me what you can do. And in fact, we don't really care too much about the technology stack, because what you're probably doing is you're probably delivering food, or you're delivering some sort of car product or something, and that's really not the secret sauce. The secret sauce is, you know, the entire customer journey, the experience, and, you know, maybe your ERP system or your order handling system is just one piece of it. So in the journey of ERPNext for Refreshed, I thought, my God, I know a lot about technology. I'll just download it and I'll start using it. I thought, this is easy stuff. So I downloaded it, I installed it, and oh my God, I'm like, wow, this stuff, I don't know how I can get past even the starting screen. So then I said, okay, I need to really start working with somebody, and so we picked a local partner, and they kind of helped us out. And one of the first things that I really wanted to do was, you know, we want to address one of the pain points, and one of the first pain points was when a call comes in, you know, people are scrambling, they've got Excel sheets with people's names on it, and then so my idea is when the call comes in, I want to say, hello, Mr. Jain, how are you? This is Refresh Car Care. And the way they were doing it was, hi, how are you? can I get your number? And it's sort of like, everyone's got caller ID, everyone's got all this technology. I've always hated companies that ask me what my phone number is, what my address is. You already have all that data. So one of the first things I wanted was I wanted that call screen pop-up to come up in ERP. So all of our client details, all of that is sitting in ERP, and we're using something called Nolarity, which is one of the two big, I think, PBXs in the cloud. I think the other one is Exotel. So we decided to use Nolarity. And what ends up happening is we've got a number. That number gets called, and then we pop it up, and we find out in the database if that person is a customer or not. And so this is my phone number, so now you can spam the hell out of me. So this is what happens. So the customer comes up. It tells you how many services they've had. As you can see, my car is very dirty. I've only had 2. And it tells you the different billing addresses that we have. So where is the billing going to get done? So it says billing, it says office. This is really for where do you want to get the car washed. So very quickly, when the call comes up, I can say, hi, Mr. Jain, how are you? I believe you'd like to get your car washed. Would you like it to get done at the home or the office? And all of a sudden, people are like, wow, this is great. These guys know so much about me. And the reality is it's already there, but there was no way to really present it. This is the current, so actually my background is hardcore tech. So I love designing the technology stacks. So when I was looking at ERP, we initially used ERPNext.com, the hosted version. But then I believe, we had a lot of customizations. And so the provider we used said, why don't you move this to your own platform? And I said, oh my God, even better. Then I can get to play with it. So I'm like, let's do it. So the way we've done it, we are using right now, we're using Amazon Web Services here in Bombay. We've got a server that's running ERPNext, and then we've got a MariaDB that's sitting in what they call an RDS, which is their instance of a database. So we've got an EC2 instance, which is a server, and then RDS, which is the database, and that's connected. And we have 2 apps. One is the cleaner app. So when somebody comes to your house to clean, the whole list of the person's information is there. So I check in, then I start taking pictures of the car, I take the odometer reading, I take the oil level reading, and then I say start wash. Then I start the wash, I do the wash, all that stuff's done. Then we take pictures after the wash, so post. So we've got the pre and the post. And all of that is done, and all of that is handled via the Cleaner app that's running on Android. And it's interacting obviously with the database. So what ends up happening is the information gets recorded in ERP, and then we send the images to the server, and then we offload those images after a certain amount of time to an S3 bucket. So my idea is I really want everything to be kind of broken apart. So static files sit on an S3 bucket, the data sitting in an RDS instance. So if anything happens to that server, I'm not like, oh my God, we've got to rebuild everything from scratch. I just have to bring up a new EC2 instance, throw on ERP, and of course I'm making it sound very easy. I'm sure it's a pain in the ass. But throw up ERP, and then it connects to the database and the S3 buckets. The other thing that we're working on is a consumer app, which we've not really rolled out yet. We're still kind of debating how to do that. But the same logic, a customer's already in the database. He would just type in his 10-digit phone number like myself. I'd get an OTP, and then I would see my cleanings. I would see I can order a Refresh Pro or a Refresh Go. These are the 2 services we offer. So that's the current architecture. Now, I have something in the future, but I'm not even really sure how that works. So, of course, I'm thinking from scale. Like let's say we start doing this across India, and we're even in talks with somebody in the Middle East to offer the same service. So obviously the service offering would be different, but they would want to use our back-end system for all of that. So in my mind, the first thing I'm thinking is, oh my God, we can't have one server be the single point of failure. So looking at using something like Elastic Load Balancer from Amazon, and then obviously you have a master and slave on the back end for the database. So this is, I would say, much further away. Right now we're probably doing maybe 100 car washes a day. So obviously the system can completely handle it. I'm sure even to probably 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 car washes a day. That's not an issue. But my thing is more future as far as when we grow international. That's what I look at. And so this is just kind of a quick diagram that I put together, and just thought I'd kind of share it with you guys. That's it in a nutshell. If you want to get in touch with me, that's my email address, that's my Twitter handle. Any questions? And I guess the other thing is I will be contributing that Nolarity integration. Don't worry. I don't want to be crucified up here. I've only been here for 90 minutes.